I'm with a gentleman who is known for his work on camera more than behind camera. But this is a new experience for him. He's behind the camera and he's talking to us about that experience. I'm with Harman Baweja. Harman, thank you so much for being with Filmicafe.
Well, I'm very, very happy being here myself.
Have you always been a spiritual person, a person of faith, or has making this film made you closer to your faith, made you more spiritual?
Yeah, firstly, I must commend you. It's probably the best question I've heard so far, all day. um, I've always been very spiritual. I wouldn't say religious, but I have been spiritual. But definitely the way I saw spirituality, let's say a couple of years back to when I see it now post Chaar Sahibzaade, there's a mammoth shift in my mindset. And one of the few things that I've discovered is literally when we talk about religion, of course there are misconceptions and we all are aware of that. But technically all religions, if you really break it down, pretty much say the same thing, really. And because of this film, I obviously read the Guru Granth Sahib. I mean, I tried to learn Gurmukhi. I was really slow, so I had an English translation so I could read it faster. I read the Quran, the Holy Quran, Bhagavad Gita, and the Holy Bible. And you really break it down and you sit down and say, they're all saying the same thing. They're just putting it across in maybe relatively different ways, but they all actually break down to the same thing. It's so, that's really what we need to worship. What most of us will do is we'll pass a Gurdwara, we'll pass a church, or we'll pass a mandir, and we'll just do this, and we think we're done. We'll walk into Gurdwara, we'll just matha teko and quickly take Kada Prasad and bounce. But while we're doing the matha teko, we're basically checking our phone for a message, making sure the car is parked right. And you sit down and say that really what we're doing is so mechanical, but we've just made ourselves believe we've done our share of work for the, Aaj Bhagwan da kam ho gaya, I've gone, I've done my matha teko, I'm done. I don't even think he's wanting us to do that. He's saying about, listen, don't come to the Gurdwara for 5 years, I don't really care. But as long as you follow what's in the Granth. And that's things that I've started imbibing in myself, and understanding what it really means. So yeah, I can go on and on about this right now. I've been talking a lot about spirituality lately, so stop me.
I'm not going to stop you. Exactly why we're here is to talk about that. What has been your level of involvement with this film? How involved have you been with it? What aspects have you been involved with?
Well,
Tell us about it.
I'm the technical term that I have for this film for myself, which my father's given me, which is being very gracious, is called creative producer. In reality, I was the assistant. I was the assistant who was badgered, butchered, beaten, made to work, and I loved it. I've done it before with my dad. I think now that I've become an actor, and I'm working with him for so many years, so he has to give me a little bit more respect on credit. So he's given me nice, good, creative producer. बना देता हूँ इसको तो ये खुश हो जाएगा, But it's been a tough film. There's been lots of work to be done. Lots. When I say lots, I mean, honestly, in this much time, I would have probably produced 3 big films. Because every little detail of history has to be taken into account. We've gone to all the locations which still exist, whether it's Anandapur or Chamkaur. We've gone to the place where Guru Sahib's armors are still around. We had to go meet the person in charge for that. Right? We had to request him. We took pictures of that, whatever we could, and then animated to perfection. Get into meeting different historians who know so much about Sikh history and Northern history. There are a few missing links between the stories, between days. We had to find those missing links, and then finally get all this approved by SGPC. Make sure they're content with what we're doing. Work in tandem with them, with the Sikh Student Federation, with the Akal Takht. So there was lots of to and fro, and this entire process was a good 1.5 2 years, till we finally said, okay, we pretty much have everything in place. Now we build the story and screenplay, then we write the dialogues, then go back to them, make sure the dialogues are approved, and then we got into animation, which was a 2.5 year process. We had a team of 200 people sitting in the studio, pretty much doing double shifts every day. And we were, let's throw in 3D in this because 3D is cool. So we developed the work for ourselves overnight. But I don't think at any stage any one of us sat down and said, yeah, it was always excited to say, okay, so whenever there was a hurdle that came our way, my dad made it a point to say, never use the word that it's a problem, because these are not problems, these are just limitations that we're working with, and we'll work around them, and when we'll come up with something more beautiful, because necessity is the mother of invention. Right. And I think that's pretty much how this film got made. It was a necessity. They wanted to make something for Sikhi and tell a beautiful story to the world, and we found our way around it.
Now, when you make a film like this, which is for the first time in the history of Indian cinema, there's a chapter of Sikh history which is photorealistic, animated. You have to balance that then with two aspects, I would assume. You have to balance that with the authenticity of history, but you also have to make an engaging and entertaining film. How did you guys go about walking that line? Because you have to stay true, as you said, there's many, many things that need to be kept in mind to be sensitive to the faith. How do you go about walking that entertainment and authenticity line then?
Well, I think honestly, kudos to my dad for doing that. I've read a couple of reviews online today, quite a few. I don't know if you managed to read them. They've all been very, very positive. Very good reviews. What I take back from all the reviews is one common line, which actually says exactly what he just said. That kudos to the director Harry Baweja, who's found the perfect balance between narrating an engaging and entertaining story, and maintaining history and sanctity of a religion. And honestly, that was our biggest challenge, because, as I told you, there was a whole process where we got all the due diligence done, whether it's SGPC, the historians, everything in place. And then we sat down and said, okay, ye sab to ho gaya, but now we got to make an entertaining film. We got to make an engaging film. We got to make a film that touches your heart, gives you, goosebumps, makes you feel charged, and at the same time makes you feel pure and happy. And that was the challenge. And, whether it was getting the expressions in the eyes of the animated characters right, whether it was getting the right dialogues, whether it was the pacing of the scenes, because we don't have actors, they're animated. So whether it's, so we actually started getting into each one of that aspect over and above the writing of the film. And I think, today I feel very happy for my father. I'm sure somewhere deep down he's probably sleeping right now back home in India, probably in deep sleep with a smile on his face, because somewhere, I think he pretty much got it right, and it's a tough one to get right.
Absolutely. Now, you've been traveling with the film,
Yes.
and you've been promoting it. It's in theaters. What have people been saying to you? How are they receiving the film? Because the audience just get there as the final verdict. So how have they been receiving the film?
Honestly, the kind of feedback that I've been getting, when my phone's full of messages, I'm sure my data is going to kill me when I get back with my phone bill. But it's probably worth it, because all the messages, there've been shows up north. When I'm saying north, I'm not even talking about Punjab right now. I'm talking about Delhi. I'm talking about Rajasthan. There've been shows in Delhi where people have actually applauded at the end of the screening. Up in Punjab, people have been applauding practically after every show. They've been applauding during dialogues. In London, I just happened to get my call from my distributor in London, and he was like, literally, people have been doing jaikaras at the end of the shows, and there have been places where they've sat down in theaters and said, no, we play the film again, and we're willing to pay another ticket right away, just play it. And they're like, no, but listen, there's another film playing after this, because it's multiplexes, right? They're like, no, no, oh no, we cancel the show, refund their money. We're sitting here, we want to watch another show. So the reaction has been overwhelming. Honestly, it's literally one of those reactions that you dream of, and but it feels good, man. It feels good. So many years of hard work, and you hear stuff like that. It's rare. Yeah.
If people walk away with something from this film, what is your hope that they walk away with?
Well, I feel what I would feel really happy about if they walked away with understanding. Yeah, I'm not even being preachy here, because I feel this is something that they'll walk away without knowing they're walking away with. And in all honesty, that's going to happen. Is walking away with finally finding your inner self. And I'll tell you how that happens, because you have a story of Chaar Sahibzaade, who are between the ages of 5 and 18, and they martyred, they gave their lives up for somebody else, for another sect altogether, and because they thought what was happening to them was unjust, and they need to fight against injustice. And that can only come if you really hear your inner voice. To give you a trivial example, very, very trivial, maybe like a 0.5% of what they must have achieved. It's when you're on a street and you see something wrong happening in front of you. Every human being around has this inner voice which stands up, which tells you to go and stop it. And then your head takes over, saying, oh, I don't know if I want to get stuck in this thing. Oh, I'm getting late for my bus. Oh, I think somebody else will take care. Or maybe something domestic. We have these 100 things that stop us, and we walk away. But all of us, and I mean all of us, will probably walk away and have at one moment in the day, think about that moment and say, maybe I should have just gone. But the moment's gone. And and you magnify that a million times, and that's the situation these people were in. These 4 boys at that age, and they went for it. They went for it with all courage and heart, and said, we know we're entering a war where we are not going to come out alive, but we're going to go with vigor, and we're going to go with happiness and smile, and say we're doing the right thing. And I feel, it in today's day and age, obviously I'm hoping none of us have to ever fight a war ever again. But on a daily basis, if we can just attain that, I think this film's probably worked.
You touched upon your an inner voice, an inner calling. What does your inner voice say that you want to do in the future? You've been a part of Bollywood for 5 years. Half a decade is a long time. What are you leaning towards in the future? What aspect of filmmaking do you want to be involved with?
I don't think I know anything else but filmmaking. So, my inner voice will always be with cinema. And I always tell this jokingly to my mother. And my mother, I always say this jokingly to my mother, and she always gets upset and she, speak positive. You know how moms can get. And I tell her, I said, I'll do anything when it comes to films. I'll act in them. I'll become a DOP. I'll become a cameraman. I'll become a director. I'll become a writer. I'll become a light boy. But I'm never going to leave films. And that's when I get a tap on my head saying, what does that mean? You're cut out for better things. And I'm like, Mom, all I'm trying to put across is that I just love films. And that's pretty much what I, pretty much know and I feel within me. So yeah, I think anything to do with cinema is good for me.
Are you leaning towards writing? Are you leaning towards directing, producing, acting?
It's interesting that you bring that. This one's I've produced. There's actually a couple of scripts that I've written, and one of them is pretty much through with another producer. So I'm probably going to be co-producing that film, not acting in it, because I don't think the role really fits me well. And I'll be producing that, and I've written that as well. So yeah. So I'm not much of a planner because as they say, you keep planning and then there's God up there. He says, yeah, okay, son, you planned very good. I'm gonna just shift your leg a bit here, and then you plan again, and then he shifts again, and then we keep planning, and then till donkeys we keep planning all our lives. I'm not saying one shouldn't plan. Obviously we need a plan in life. But I sort of just let myself go with my instinct and my guts, and I felt like writing something. I wrote it, and I'm probably acting in a film next year. I start shooting, so I'm gonna do a bit of that, a bit of this.
And see where it goes, right? You have collaborated with your father on this film and films before this as well, as assistant, as an actor, as a creative producer on this one. When do we see you and Harry Baweja in a film together? Harman Baweja is the actor and Mr. Harry Baweja is directing him.
I think you must ask this question to my dad.
Chalo, I put that thought in, no?
Yes, you have. I'm just gonna, take this interview, take that little clipping, and keep sending him every morning on WhatsApp. Say, hey, what's this? Hey, what's this? I think we're looking for that right script. He was obsessed with Chaar Sahibzaade. I obviously had Dishkam in the middle, and I still had a life. He didn't have a life. For him, his life is Chaar Sahibzaade. I think he deserves a holiday after this, and it's my, I request all the distributors to give him enough back so that he can then say, okay, I think I've recovered everything, now I can go for a holiday. I'm just joking. I think I'm making sure that he has a good 1 month holiday after this. He deserves it. He's earned it. He's done everything he could, in his realm of space, and his film is purely made out of passion and heart. I mean, there is no economics to this film. If you actually sit down and do economics and financials of this film, you'd think this film should never have been made. But this was purely something that he wanted to do, and I'm a proud son. That I know he again, he's one of those who follows his heart and he just goes all the way. And yeah, I'm happy for him.
Well, thank you for following your heart and sharing your heart with us. Thank you so much for being with Filmicafe, Harman. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Pleasure's been mine. See you.